What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand to Table podcast. Happy New Year, everyone. So excited to come back after this holiday break, if you will. Wasn't really a break, but it felt like that. Why? Because a lot of things slow down a little bit when it comes to the holiday. You guys know, you guys are so busy doing the private events and the holiday parties. It's tough to start any new projects during that time frame. And so here I am, always ready to rock and roll. So it took a little bit of adjusting and getting used to of just taking a breather over the last couple of weeks and just digest everything that we've done over the last year and take a peek at what's on the horizon for 2026 and get excited about everything that we're going to be doing, not only for my business, but to help you guys run a more profitable restaurant for your establishment. So I want to get into today's topic of conversation because it's kind of one of those elephants in the room, if you will, where we know that January is one of the slowest, if not the slowest months of the year for restaurants, right? So it doesn't always have to be that way, though. And the fact that it's so predictable, we can get ahead of this, even if it's the second week or first week of January, whenever you're listening or watching this right now. We have control over what our January sales look like, whether we know it and like it or not. So I want to get into 3 initiatives that you can really pull the trigger on immediately and help your January sales get that boost that you're looking for. And I can tell you this, what you don't want to do is kind of just sit on your hands and kind of let January go by without doing anything at all. So I'm going to share with you 3 smart moves you can do for your restaurant to help stay visible and drive more traffic while your competitors are sitting on their hands, just letting the month go by. One of the things I want to highlight and really put some emphasis on is January is really the month that sets the tone for the rest of the quarter, rest of the year. And if we can get ahead of it now, you're going to love the rest of the year because you're going to feel that momentum. You're going to get that drive. Pour that gas on that marketing flame. So one of the things about January I want to share with you is it is a habit forming month. They say it takes 21 days to form a habit, right? And everybody's coming out of the old year into the new year with all these resolutions and all of these new habits that they want to form. So now's the time to help your guests form that habit into coming into your restaurant more frequently. So the big takeaway here is not that you have to be louder on social media and through your marketing channels, but we have to stay more present and continuously present because that's what's going to drive those numbers and actually form that habit. And one of the things I want to share with you guys is I had a recent conversation about marketing in general for restaurants. And this particular gentleman owns a few restaurants and we were talking, and as I was listening to him, it sounded like he was looking for like this big home run swing that was going to just transform 2026 for his restaurants. And I had to stop him there for a second. And I said, listen, I've been doing this a long time. And you could ask anybody that runs an operation similar to yours, has multiple units, or just has a single operation, right? I can tell you that those folks have not seen great success by just swinging these massive shots into these marketing initiatives and hitting these grand slams every try. What it is, it's the philosophy of filling the bases, like the reference in baseball, right? Where you want to get everybody, you want to fill the bases, you want the bases loaded, right? And that's our goal. So what I tell a lot of my clients is it's about hitting those singles and doubles, right? And getting on base and being very consistent with that. Because when you load the bases and you keep the outs at a minimum, you're just going to keep driving those runs into home plate. And that's my philosophy. I don't look for these big home runs. Listen, sometimes we get them. I'll give you a quick example. We were doing a video shoot, and I just knew this one particular dish was going to hit, and it did. We got over 100,000 views on that Instagram reel, and the next one only got 12,000 views. So I knew right away that like every single video we put out is not going to be a home run. So I want to emphasize that. Let's focus on getting on base. Let's focus on hitting those singles and doubles and being consistent with our marketing, because that truly is what's going to move the needle. So one of the things I want to point out is in January, a lot of people, I'm not going to say are lazy, but they just got whacked with a major credit card bill, right? From buying all those presents. And they're kind of in a money saving or money recouping type of mentality. So we have to keep that in mind. So with that said, we have to look for what's going to drive value, but it's also important to giving guests a reason to want to come to your restaurant. So there's a few different things here that we could do. So for example, we are running a 30-day feature for one of the restaurants that I do business with for Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays only. It's a value-driven offer. It's only good for January, Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and each day is a different offer, right? And it's one of those offers that really move the needle and get people up out of their seat and get people to want to book that reservation, because that offer is not going to be around in February. So if they want it, they got to get it this month. So that form of urgency and scarcity is definitely going to move the needle. And then that offer, it has to be strong enough. I tell people all the time, if you put a, kind of a half-ass offer together, or one that's just isn't strong enough, it's going to fall on deaf ears and people aren't going to want to come. So some quick little rules here when it comes to executing any sort of feature or value-driven offer for January is you got to keep the emphasis clear that this offer is temporary. It's not going to be around forever. So if they want it, they got to act now. The other thing that we want to do is clearly define that start and end date. So for example, this particular client that we're working with, that offer is only good for Mondays, only good for Tuesdays, only good for Wednesdays. So they have to get in there. And we only have X amount of reservations set aside for this particular offer. So once those are booked, they're booked. So, and then they have to wait to the next week. And listen, people are impatient. People want what they want now. So we want to make sure that we emphasize the clarity of the scarcity and define that start and end date. And one thing here that I want to drive home here, people don't get too excited about the discounts. They get excited about missing out. That FOMO is real, guys. You've heard me talk about this in the past. When people get a sense that something is going to be taken away from them, they're going to fight so much harder to keep it. So keep that in mind. That psychology is so important when it comes to marketing. People are so much more afraid of losing than they are gaining. So just a little quick tip there when you're putting together your features or your promotional offers is make sure to have that start and end date very defined, because it's going to help drive people to get up off their rear ends and take action on the offer. Tip number 2, that is a super easy to execute initiative, is getting your emails and getting your SMS texts back up and running. You might have taken a little break during the holiday season because you probably had private parties and you had a packed house for the majority of December, right? Because everybody's getting out, families coming over, people are going out with friends and colleagues from work. So you might have taken a little break with your SMS text and email marketing. Now's the time to start those puppies back up, because those touch points, the more you can stay in front of your audience, the more top of mind you are with your guests, the more likely they're going to want to come to your place versus your competitor. So some quick tips here, like say you're using OpenTable for your email marketing. You can target people that have frequented the restaurant over the last 60, 90, 30 days and segment that audience and just send those messages to those folks. And you could craft that email or text in such a way that it speaks directly to them. And when somebody feels like you're talking directly at them, that marketing hits different. That marketing digests different. And that's the marketing that gets people wanting to come to your place because they're saying to themselves, wow, this restaurant remembered me and now I feel special. That's the key, guys. When you make your guests feel more special than your competitors are doing, they're going to choose you over them every single time. Another thing here that I just don't quite understand is Januaries are slow and we get it, right? That's not an excuse to stop posting on social media and just kind of leave everything somewhat dormant until things start to pick up for February, Valentine's Day, etc. January is the time to stay human and to stay social on social with your guests. And you've heard me say this before, but when you're on social media, it should be a dialogue. It should not be a monologue. You shouldn't be talking at your audience. You should be talking with your audience. So that's when you get in those stories on Instagram or Facebook and create those polls and create those questionnaires and surveys to get people engaged, to get people wanting to interact with you. It's another phenomenal way to kind of survey your guests to see what is popping in their worlds. So you can craft the right drink features or promotional features, whether it be appetizers or entrees, right? You could tailor those features to what your guests are saying and telling you. Listen, you shouldn't be guessing at what your audience wants or likes. You should know this better than your guests because if you can anticipate their needs, again, they're going to choose you over your competitors every single time. So how do we do this, right? We get our chefs involved. And you don't need this overproduced video. You don't. You can pull out an iPhone 15, 17, whatever you got, and get your chef talking about January dish features or the do's and don'ts of how we prep dishes and what goes into certain dishes that we prepare for guests. People love this behind the scenes action. People love to interact and get that intimate dialogue with the people that are prepping and serving the food. You could get your GMs involved. You could get your bartenders involved. You could get your servers involved and start asking them simple questions. We're doing this right now with the quick serve franchise. We're going in there and we're getting the GM talking to the guests via social media about some FAQs, like what are some common questions that a lot of guests ask? And we're answering those through short form video that are being recorded on an iPhone. It's that simple. So thinking about how to get your team involved, and listen, not every person on your staff is going to want to get involved in this, but there's going to be a few outliers there that are going to love to want to participate in this type of marketing and this type of engagement. Those are the rock stars you want to pull aside and be like, hey, listen, we got to get some more content out there. Would you want to participate? And they're going to raise their hand, say yes. And now you have some great content for January that's going to, again, re-engage your guests and get them more involved in your day-to-day and in your restaurant's personality. And that's what's going to create that trust and create that relationship between your restaurant and the guest. So let's recap real quick. What can we do in January to help drive those numbers up rather than sitting on our asses doing nothing and just waiting for this month to just disappear? First and foremost, let's lock in a few January LTOs or features that are just going to be available for January. You got to give people a reason why. We're doing a phenomenal sit-down tasting experience at one of my clients' locations with a high-end bourbon that is not normally available. We're only doing that in the month of January. That's what I'm talking about. Like, that's a perfect example of getting something that is scarce, something that is urgent, something that is not going to be around all the time. Implement it, execute, and you could do this so simple. If you're using Open Table, we can create experiences and get people paying up front for tickets. It's very, very simple to execute if you have these types of platforms. So if you need help with this, let me know. This is what we do on a regular basis for our clients. Another thing that we want to do, again, email and SMS text marketing. You could do 2 emails a week. You could do 1 email a week, as long as that email is driving value and getting people feeling special and feeling that they are one in a million, and you're single-handedly speaking to them and only them. That's what's going to get people to hit that reserve a table button and get them into your restaurant. So don't sleep on email and text just because it's a slow month. This is the time to pour the gas on the fire. Again, we got to keep it social, guys. So remember, getting your team involved, definitely on downtime, and getting some interaction there with your chefs, your bartenders, your servers, and frequently ask questions and answer those through video content. Sure, it could be less than a minute long for some of these questions. This helps train and educate the audience and gets the audience excited to want to come back in and dine with you. Builds that relationship, it builds that trust, and people love to do business with people that they know, like, and trust. We know that. So why not execute on this while we have the time? I tell my clients this all the time. Momentum comes from movement, not perfection. You don't have to nail that video on the first try. That first email that goes out isn't going to bring in $20,000 in revenue. But if you stay consistent and constantly improve one objective at a time, one initiative at a time, this goes back to hitting those singles and doubles and getting those bases loaded. Because when those bases are loaded, those runs are going to start coming in a lot more easily, and you're going to love it because you're going to see it in your bank account. The restaurants that are going to win in January are the ones that are going to stay visible and communicate very clearly on what it is that they want to offer and what it is that they want to get the guest understanding about their restaurant that separates them from everybody else down the block or in that 5-mile radius, because there's plenty of competition out there. We know that, right? But those are the restaurants that are gonna win. Notice I didn't mention anything about budget, right? We're not talking about a massive budget here to make these things happen. We're talking about effort. We're talking about some time. We're talking about some focus and being deliberate in what it is that you're trying to communicate. When you do that, you're going to get the results that you're looking for. So what you do need is a strategic plan. What you do need is the willingness to execute. On occasion, after I stand up a marketing initiative for a restaurant client, I will go in as a mystery shopper myself and see if that offer is being executed properly. And I got to be honest with you, there was a few times this season that I noticed I go in, I'm looking for this bounce back offer. I don't tell anybody who I am. The server has no idea who I am. And that bounce back offer does not get offered to me. I could create you the best offer in the world and create a marketing plan that's bulletproof. But if you're not having your staff execute it properly or at all, that offer and that initiative is just dying on the vine. And I hate to see that happen because you put a lot of effort into this. You put a lot of money into this. You put a lot of attention into this. And if you're not following it through to the end, I don't know what to tell you. So you have to, if you want to see those revenue jumps, if you want to see that return business, you got to make sure the team understands why it's so important that these initiatives get executed the way they're trained. So again, when I'm doing initiatives with clients, I'm going in there with a playbook and I execute that playbook to the GMs, and those GMs are responsible then to trickle it down to their team. So that all comes with all the marketing initiatives and plans that I create for my clients. But I cannot emphasize more, if you're not having your team execute properly or not giving them the reason why it's so important, you're just wasting a ton of time, money, and energy. And we all know when that happens, our bank accounts feel it the most. So there you have it, guys. Those are some actionable and tactical things that you could do in January. Now, I have a laundry list, more of things we could do. I kept it to 3 to kind of just keep it nice and tight here. But if you need help, strategic planning, executing these offers, these plans to get your marketing humming for 2026, give me a shout. You know how to get me, whether it's a DM on Instagram, whether it's an email. Give me a shout. Let's have a conversation. I want to help you win 2026 and get those marketing systems and those efforts and all of that investment that you're going to put into your marketing this year working for you so that you can get that return that you're looking for and increase those sales for 2026. Guys, that's all I got today. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next episode real soon. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share this with somebody that could benefit their restaurant and help drive revenue and more guest engagement to help fire up your bottom line.